In Legends of Runeterra, Elusive has always been a problem to which the solution has remained elusive. I believe I have a simple solution that can fix all of our problems for good. Courtesy to my pal Swimothy over here, providing the background entertainment while I ramble on. I originally recorded a bunch of other footage on January the 8th of 2022, back when this was all still very relevant, and due to various things, including my Premiere project becoming corrupt, that video isn't going to happen. So I'm just doing this as a quick way to get my thoughts out there because I just want to talk about this idea. So the idea is very simple. Whenever you play a unit that has the elusive keyword, activate the elusive effect, and that applies to all of your elusives on board. And the purpose of this change is to make it so that way elusives have to choose whether or not they're going to spend tempo and mana on activating elusive and getting that elusive attack in, or if they're going to spend it on buffing themselves. Because the problem with Iceborn Legacy, since it's already been a card that has existed, is that now that it's burst speed, you no longer have to sacrifice your tempo for just having an overwhelming elusive board. And outside of, the Poros deck specifically, as being showcased here by our good pal Swimothy over at twitch.tv/swimstream, it's that even in other decks with elusives, when they can just be put on board and then buffed and left on board, there isn't a lot of room for counterplay. And Legends of Runeterra is a great game because it's very interactive, and I think that what makes it fun for a lot of us is the idea that there's always something we could have done better. As much as this is a game of chance and luck, there's still a lot of skill involved. But elusives usually don't have to make the main decisions because they just sort of attack you by being elusive. And it's cool that they can do that and that they have that playstyle, but I think it makes a lot more sense to restrict elusives more into their own archetype, where you have to build around activating the elusive effect in order to really get full value out of them. In this example right here, he has a bunch of Poros on board, right? And we know that the next turn that he's going to attack here, he's going to be swinging with all these 4/4s and not have to do anything about that. See, if his opponent, who just surrendered, if Swim had to hold some in hand, right, in order to activate it again, that would have been a little bit less damage that he wouldn't have gone in, which maybe would have made the difference whether or not he got lethal there, or his opponent ever had a chance to do anything about it. It's not always going to fix every situation, it's not a perfect solution, but I think it's a good basis for redesigning the whole concept of elusives to something more cohesive and easy to balance. Decks like Ari Kennen are suddenly going to make a lot more sense because you can just recall elusives and play them again, and then that makes everything work. I think one of the most immediate concerns is that if elusives only activate when played, now elusive blockers become worse, and that becomes an elusive buff. So maybe if that's the case, then you can simply have inactive elusive units have the sharp side effect where they can still block, but they can't attack elusively. And then the next thing people are going to complain about is, well, what about Zoe? What about Teemo? What about these other cards like Neon Droid that rely on elusive? Well, I think another quick, simple solution to that is give those champions, maybe even those cards, attack, activate elusive. And so because needing to activate elusive effect would be a buff on elusives, that would then be a... What did I just say? Because needing to play elusives to activate it is a nerf, then buffing those other champions with this activate elusive on attack thing makes them more relevant in elusive decks, and that might be a fine way to sort of push the meta away towards something a little bit more under control. Because one of the biggest differences is that when you have to play a unit, summon, not just play, it should be any summon effect, right? As long as you're summoning elusive, including gain the keyword, that should activate elusive. But because you have to spend an action to do so, it doesn't just happen right away, now you can no longer open attack. And that gives even more opportunities for counterplay, and that's really all we need. It's just opportunities to do something about elusives. In fact, a very previously useless card, Empyrean, which just never got used before, could suddenly become relevant if it had an effect that said round start activate elusive, thus giving you a finisher where you can open attack with your elusives and just finish off your opponent. There's lots of ideas also, like having spells that do similar things and adding different kinds of support packages around this new idea of elusives. You could even do things like in the Targon elusives, give them an effect where it says whenever Nightfall is triggered, activate elusive. There's lots of ways I think that we could play into this in a thematic and fun way that's as counterplay instead of just having elusives that require no extra setup to have their effect. And while I'm on the topic, I also want to bring up things like rallies, which, I know that the devs talked to our pal Swimothy over here, and they talked a bit about rallies and, conditionals and costs in order to make things happen. And I think one of the most simple things you could possibly do is bring Lucian's Rally back to a 3 mana effect, right? And it just rallies, but make it conditional in that in order to rally, you have to select a unit that has already attacked this turn. So now you have to play around the idea of you have to have already attacked, so you can't play it on your defense turn, and it has to be with a unit that survived the attack. And then on top of that, if your opponent has any sort of unit removal, so now they don't need deny to stop your rally because they can kill your unit that you are targeting in order to rally. They get rid of that unit, then it just fizzles, you get no rally effect. That might be too much of a nerf, but it's definitely an idea of some way we can balance out rallies better while still giving them the key idea of finishing someone off by rallying and attacking more than once in a turn. And if it turns out that, you know, requiring someone to have already attacked, you can make it just simply strike. So now Demacia with spells where you can strike with the unit becomes better because now you can rally on your defense turns only if you've struck. But again, this gives chance for counterplays because let's say you have Frostbite, or you even can counter your own unit and kill it with your own removal effect to prevent this strike from happening. There's lots of opportunities for interesting counterplay, and that's really all we're asking for, is just an opportunity to do something about our opponents. Another thing is that right now, Bandle is really powerful because it has too much value. Just, you can put Bandle in anything and it's almost always better because generating cards for free is very good. I really like the ideas of things like Reputation and that Shadow Isle's Slay with a spell to get a bonus. I think we could even go as far as buffing those sorts of things a little bit more and adding more stuff like that in the future, where we encourage players to have certain things that they build up to that your opponent can anticipate and try to play around, because that's way more fun than just playing Otterpuss and getting free value. I hate Otterpuss, terrible card. And that's something else before I'm done, all right? Prank should not reveal cards in your opponent's hand. Like leave Prank the way it is, but just change it so that way it has an equal chance of any card in the deck or in hand, and you don't know which one it is. When I first read the Prank effect, I thought that's how it was going to work, but then it's not. There's no reason why it should make your cards worse and tell you what cards are in your hand. That's just too much. Just make it a blind. It makes a card worse, but you don't know when it's coming, but it's somewhere, you know that the card is going to be worse. Like that's plenty. That's plenty for Prank, all right? You don't need more than that. You just don't. Anyways, that's about it. I don't want to make this very long because I have to edit all of this, and I just want to upload it like today, which is January 28th of 2022. I don't know if I said that. Whatever. Hope you like my ideas. I hope you don't think I'm a big stinky head. There's a lot of things I didn't talk about, which I was going to get into, but again, all that got corrupt, so whatever. Hope the devs hear this. I hope they take my words in consideration and make some changes. I would really love to see this implemented into the game. If you like this, subscribe. Give me numbers. I like numbers. Numbers make me feel good. Hit that like button. It make me feel real good. Talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to your grandma about Legends of Runeterra. Tell them that they need to add this change to Elusives. And if you disagree with me, think this is a terrible change, tell me in the comments and tell me why. I would love to hear your ideas and see if you have a better solution. Because I feel like this is such a simple solution that really fundamentally works for the archetype because of the way it re-emphasizes the importance and value of elusive type decks rather than just, oh, I have an elusive card that I can buff. That's about it. Hug your family unless they're stinky. Hug your dog unless it's stinky. Try not to get too mad. And I love you. I don't actually, but if it makes you feel better, then you can believe it.